The Anti-Cruelty Society is committed to providing a safe work environment. The complete safety manual is posted on the internet, and you are encouraged to read and review, specifically those sections that are most pertinent to your job. All jobs have a variety of safety hazards, and we want you to be as safe as possible and know what to do if you are injured. Occupational Safety and Health Administration, also known as OSHA, is a government agency that keeps workplaces safe through regulations and by being a resource for safe work practices. As an employee, you have the right to work in a safe place and to know about any hazardous chemicals in the workplace, potential health hazards, possible health effects, and protective measures. You also are required to comply with occupational safety and health standards in all rules, regulations, and orders. The new labeling system has several requirements, and as required by the new standards, labeling must include a product identifier, signal word, pictogram, hazard statement, precautionary statements, and supplier information, including the name, address, and phone number of the supplier. Signal words are used to indicate the severity of a hazard. The two signal words used are danger, which represents severe hazards, and warning, which represents less severe hazards. 9 pictograms are used to identify hazards. Please take a look at the pictograms and what each warns against. The only one not required by OSHA and GHS is the environment pictogram. Must always label chemicals and dispose of any remaining containers and chemicals properly. The one and only time you do not need to label is when you are pouring a chemical into a container for immediate use. In order to match GHS, MSDS is now SDS, or Safety Data Sheets. Safety data sheets tell you how to work safely with chemicals. SDS includes information about the product's chemical compensation, physical properties, chemical properties, hazards, handling precautions, and emergency procedures. You can access the Society's safety data sheets by visiting msdsonline.com. Safety data sheets are now required to cover information under 16 sections. Listed on the right are the 16 required sections. Please take some time to review the sections and log into MSDS Online to view a safety data sheet. The Hazardous Communication Standard, or HAZCOM, is an established uniform requirement to assure that the hazards of all chemicals are evaluated and the uniform and associated protective measures are transmitted to affected employees. Employees will be informed of the hazardous chemicals they will work with and the proper protective measures. Washing your hands is very important. You should wash your hands when they are visibly dirty or contaminated, before eating, after using the restroom, before and after direct animal contact or contact with bodily fluids, and after removing gloves. Use the Center for Disease Control and Prevention guidelines when washing your hands with soap and water. Wet your hands with clean running water and apply soap. Use warm water if it is available. Rub hands together to make a lather and scrub all surfaces. Continue rubbing hands for 15 to 20 seconds. You should always inspect the equipment you will be using. If the equipment is in disrepair, please take the appropriate action and have the equipment fixed or discarded. Good housekeeping is having a place for everything and having everything in its place. Housekeeping neglect can lead to accidents, fires, and health hazards. Do not use or store combustible materials in stairwells. Maintain all areas free of obstruction and slip-trip hazards. Do not store or leave items on stairways. Ensure that stairways are adequately illuminated. Do not obstruct aisles and passageways, especially those leading to an emergency exit. Do not block or obstruct stairwells, exits, or access to safety and emergency devices, such as fire extinguishers or fire alarms. Working surfaces should be free of potential slipping or tripping hazards, such as water, supply boxes, electrical cords, and foreign objects. Immediately wipe out wet spots on the floor, adhering to appropriate sanitation precautions. Use caution signs to barricade slippery and wet areas. Straighten or remove rugs and mats that do not lay flat on the floor. Assure that all shelving units are suitable for the amount of weight being stored. Assure the shelving is firmly secured on the walls, floors, or otherwise made stable. Store heavy items waist to chest high for safe lifting. And whenever items are stored above 6 feet, remember to use safety ladders to access. Storage areas should be kept neat and orderly. Frequent, orderly, and safe disposal of trash is required. All forms of waste materials must be kept contained and clear of treatment in office areas, including passageways, stairs, exits, and emergency evacuation routes. All solvent, waste, and combustible trash will be stored in fire-resistant, covered containers until removed from the office. Store liquid containers labeled flammable only in cabinets, rooms, or buildings labeled and rated as flammable storage. It is also important to use proper lifting and handling. Consider the following guidelines to minimize hazards related to handling heavy or awkward loads. Organize your work area. Bending the back to pick up an object puts significant strain on the back. Whenever possible, stack objects on tables or racks to reduce the need to bend over. Test. Before attempting to move any bulky object, test to see if it is too heavy for you to move. If needed, ask for assistance or use material handling equipment such as a cart or dolly. Minimize the need for muscle power. Use material handling equipment, cars, lift tables, etc., whenever feasible. When using a cart, always try to push it. Pushing is much less stressful on the back and shoulders than pulling. Do not lift and twist, reach, or bend the back. When you must lift, plan the lift. Look for ways to reduce the amount of manual handling. Keep your low back in the normal, neutral position, a position of strength. When lifting and handling, you should also stand close to the load, both feet firmly on the floor, about shoulder width apart, toes pointed slightly outward. Keep your abdominal muscles tight. Squat down close to the load, bending at the knees and hips, keeping head and shoulders upright. Place hands on diagonally opposite corners of the load. One hand pulls the load towards you, one lifts. Grip the load firmly, both hands. Bring the load close to the body, keep the weight centered over feet, tuck arms and elbows. Lift with your legs, not with your back. When it comes to lifting and handling supplies, whenever possible, use your body weight and momentum to move the load, not just muscle strength. When carrying a load, take small steps, keeping the load close to the body, no more than waist high. When changing direction, don't twist. Instead, pivot or sidestep, moving the feet instead of the trunk. When unloading an object, lower the load slowly. Letting the legs do the work, position hands so fingers won't get caught under the load. Place load on the edge of the surface and slide it back. In case of a building evacuation, staff should report to the command center, which is located across the street at the Bank of America parking lot on LaSalle. It is important that in the event of an evacuation, staff do not go home, but report to the command center where they can be accounted for and receive further instruction. To protect you and the society and to ensure a safe workplace, it is critical to report all incidents, even if no medical treatment is needed at the time. Insurance may not accept a claim if an incident is not reported. Small incidents may indicate that a change may be needed to make the environment safer. All incidents are then investigated. This process is not fault-finding, but a tool to improve the workplace. There is a form, an incident report, that needs to be completed as soon as possible after the incident. You should notify your supervisor, complete the form, and turn it in to Human Resources. The incident report is a 4-page document that can be located on the intranet under the Safety tab. There are different first aid stations located throughout the shelter. These stations hold first aid supplies for staff to use when needed. Shelter departments have additional safety precautions, such as the clinic. Please see the safety liaison from your department for more details. The Anti-Cruelty Society has a safety team that meets once every other month on the second Thursday. There is a liaison from each department. If you are interested in learning more about the safety team or have any safety questions, please see the liaison from your department. True or false? OSHA is a government agency that keeps workplaces safe through regulations and by being a resource for safe work practices. The Anti-Cruelty Society has a safety team that meets once every other month on the second Thursday. There is a liaison from each department. If you are interested in learning more about the safety team or have any safety questions, please see the liaison from your department. For 15 to 20 seconds. Where are the Anti-Cruelty Society material safety data sheets located? A. Filed at the front desk. B. Online. Or C. We do not have material safety data sheets.